Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has ordered the military to launch its final offensive against rebel leaders in the northern region of Tigray, in a conflict that aid groups fear could worsen the humanitarian crisis there. In a statement, Mr Abiy said there was a carefully devised strategy to defeat the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front in the regional capital Mekelle without harming civilians. This is the fifth largest city in Ethiopia. It has a prominent university. More than 9 in 10 of the population are Ethiopian Orthodox Christians, according to a national census. There are reported to be about tens of thousands of TPLF fighters in and around the city, including many high-ranking former members of Ethiopia's military and intelligence forces who were pushed out after the 2018 elections. Let's take you to our correspondent Kalkadan Yibiltal, who joins us now from Addis Ababa. I know how difficult it is to get information out of Tigray, but can we confirm that this final offensive, as the Prime Minister is calling it, is now underway?
It looks that way, as you said. It's very difficult to know exactly what's happening right now. We don't even know if the actual fighting is happening right now. But since Prime Minister announced that the military are ordered to launch what he called the final phase of this military offensive, it's reasonable to expect that some sort of operation is going on there, some sort of clashes are happening there. But what we know is now we are seeing more of this conflict, and potentially for the coming days or even more, we might see fighting going on.
What are we hearing from the TPLF? Have they said that they will surrender, or are they vowing to fight on?
Well, this military offensive, this latest military offensive was not unexpected because earlier in the week, Prime Minister Abiy offered or announced a 72-hour ultimatum for the TPLF fighters to surrender peacefully. During that time, the top leadership of the party, they rejected those calls, and they said that they would fight to the end, and they said that they were ready to sacrifice all that's necessary to defend against what they call invaders. So they are not surrendering, and we're seeing both parties are going into this fighting. So no, we're not expecting surrendering, at least at this point.
The Prime Minister says he will try and keep civilians safe in Mekelle. Do we know how that would be possible, and also what the humanitarian situation is right now?
That's very difficult to know how that can be achieved, but he said that extra care will be given for civilians, the protection of civilians, and he said that the soldiers, the troops will be very careful not to cause any harm in the city. But that's very difficult to see how that can happen, because if there's an active fighting going on in that city where more than 500,000 people live, it's very difficult to see how civilians cannot be some sort of casualties. And we understand that the humanitarian crisis is worsening. More than 42,000 Ethiopians have already crossed borders to Sudan, and there are many others internally displaced. The government announced today that they are going to offer emergency assistance in the areas that they're controlling, and they're also setting up 4 camps for those who would like to return voluntarily from Sudan. But if the fighting is still going on, that's difficult to see how people will choose to return to Ethiopia right now.
Kalkadan, thanks for updating us from Addis Ababa. We also have a live page up and running for you on our website. As I mentioned, really difficult to confirm what's happening in Tigray. Phone, mobile, internet communications with the entire region have been cut. But everything we know, we're putting on this website for you, updating it regularly. And you can also find out some background information there too, some of the history of the conflict there. Log on to bbc.com/news throughout the day to get the very latest.